Over to you, Rabbi Seed.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening to a very special event honoring a very, very special human being, Barbara Boraks. This is where we were supposed to be. So if you can kind of place yourself in the audience and imagine that Barbara is there on the stage, smiles, with all of these hundreds of people, well-wishers, who are there to honor her for all of her many years and all of her wonderful efforts on behalf of CJDT. Unfortunately, as has happened throughout COVID, we've had to do a lot of very quick changes. So rather than being at Adath Israel this evening, we are gathered together over our screens, but we are joined together in a unity of purpose to honor Barbara. I'm now going to turn the program to our MC, to our Master of Ceremonies, Dr. John Joseph Mastandrea, who will be, again, our MC for the evening.
Well, welcome, everyone. It's an honor to be here this evening, as many of us have walked this long journey with Barbara of discovering and exploring, pushing at the edges. And just to give you a bit of an overview, just to remind everybody to remain muted if you're not talking. And if you do have problems with your video or your sound, just turn off your video and you'll increase your Wi-Fi strength. And the program will include words of gratitude by Rabbi Seed and on behalf of Rabbi Shield and Father Damien, and words from the Archdiocese of Toronto spoken by Father Lewis, and words from the Anglican Church of Canada, Evangelical Lutheran Church spoken by Katja Britton. And then we will hear and listen to a video presentation prepared by Hector Acero and Sister Petit Liu. And we'll have then past chair Rabbi David Seed, and then our present chair, Reverend Barbara White. And then we will have Joan Shapero speak and offer words of gratitude to Barbara. And then we'll hear from Barbara. And then Sister Lucy is going to speak her wonderful ancient Hebrew, no, actually in English. And then we'll hear from Rabbi Seed. And then we get to have a toast. So remember to have a glass in your hand for the end part of the evening. And so now, without further ado, we're going to go over to the wonderful Rabbi Shield, who will bring to us Rabbi Seed on behalf of Rabbi Shield. Over to you. Rabbi Seed.
Yes, okay, 1 second. It's my wonderful pleasure and good fortune to read these remarks on behalf of Rabbi Irwin Shield, who is here with us this evening, and which he has put together in honor of Barbara Boraks. As many of you may be aware, Rabbi Shield was one of the founders of CJDT, along with other Toronto faith leaders. And at the age of 102, he is still a very strong advocate for interfaith relations and the need for an active and dynamic CJDT. These are Rabbi Shield's remarks. In the Jewish calendar, we are now in the period of time known as Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer being a measure of barley, which was offered as a sacrifice in the temple in Jerusalem in ancient times. Beginning with the second night of Passover, this counting continues for 7 weeks, the day after the conclusion, which is the holiday, the festival of Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. It is from this that the holiday of Pentecost is derived. The word to count, as in the Hebrew Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer, is lispor in Hebrew, which also means to tell, as in to tell a story. And from the same word lispor, we derive the noun sefer, which means a book or a story. Throughout her many dedicated years with CJDT, Barbara Boraks has created a book from the many accomplishments and achievements throughout her years of service to CJDT, from the stories of all that she has achieved during her many years with CJDT. Barbara has worked diligently over her years of dedicated service to CJDT, and the community, through her tireless hard work and efforts, are a testament to all she has done. Individually, each event, each program has been precious, and we have been enriched by them individually. But woven together and taken as a whole, the individual efforts have created a book which she has authored and signed with her commitment and dedication to interfaith efforts in Greater Toronto, but as well to the very idea of making the world a better place. Today, we read Barbara's book, and in so doing, offer our thanks and praises to her for putting her book together. But it is a book not just for the moment, but one which we will read and continue to read for years to come. We are grateful for all which Barbara has created, because we are all better because of it. Barbara has woven together an anthology of many different stories of her years at CJDT, which have helped to create a picture of greater peace, wisdom, and understanding, for which we offer our thanks to Barbara this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi C. That was very beautiful, and as great stories, and on behalf of Rabbi Shield. And now we get to hear from Father Damien McPherson. I'm going to find Damien in the field, because sometimes with this wonderful, because I want to highlight Damien. And Damien and I have traveled to Israel together, along with Fredelle and I, and we got to share many moments and great adventures. Not only with all the committees, every time I turned around, there was Damien saying, "Would you like to be part of something?" And next thing I know, I was chairing this or doing that. And it's a great honor to welcome to our podium tonight Father Damien McPherson. Over to you, Damien.
Well, thank you, John. And, you know, if we had nothing else to say, Rabbi's words would have been sufficient. Let me tell you, they're beautiful. So, Barb, I have this little text I'm going to read. Sorry for the formality. My first regret is that I cannot see your glowing face and sparkling eyes and forever smile in the real world as I script these few thoughts on your departure from the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Toronto. Perhaps it's fitting on this occasion to first remind ourselves that it was in 1962 that Anglican minister Roland Cornell first established a forum that would promote a dialogue of respect between Christians and Jews in Toronto. Some 14 years later, in May of 1976, the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Toronto would be formally incorporated. In your devoted service, Barb, you have played a vital role in the continued success of its accomplishments and continuing development. Barb, for those listening, I want to assure you and them that my brief words are without exaggeration. And so let me begin again by suggesting that it is simply difficult to imagine the Canadian flag without the maple leaf. I say that because that's what comes to mind when I think of your absence from the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Toronto. In so many ways, I do believe that you, Barb, at certain times were the heartbeat of Christian-Jewish Dialogue in Toronto. To be sure, the indelible mark of your energy and contribution to this essential dialogue was really without measure. It will duly be missed as Christian-Jewish commitment continues to deepen the quality of its friendship and be a vibrant symbol of God's presence here and now. I do believe a foundational stepping stone which has accompanied the success of the legacy you leave is that you have taken seriously and honored the place of the Jews, the chosen people of God, who were the first to hear the word of God. Barb, I believe the success of your enduring presence within the Christian-Jewish dialogue of Toronto is linked to your ongoing understanding that Catholics must refrain from active attempts to convert the Jews. Going forward, I do believe the presence of your fingerprints will remain firmly fixed upon the growing partnership of Christian-Jewish dialogue for years to come. That you will be missed simply says too little. Barb, my continued blessings upon you and your family, along with the present members of the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Toronto. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Father Damien. Well spoken. Well spoken. And we're 1 second, we'll just unhighlight you and then.
John Joseph, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Damien. And I was unmuted, and then there's gremlins in the system of Zoom sometimes, and they do things that you don't want. And now we welcome to the podium Father Lewis, who's been an honor to get to know. And Father Lewis and I are also on many committees together as we launch and make the city of Toronto a place of welcome and invitation for spirituality.
Thank
And
you,
over
John
to you.
Joseph.
Over
On
to you, Father
behalf
Lewis.
of Cardinal Thomas Collins, His Eminence, this is what he writes. And I know you're going to be very, very surprised, Barb. Dear Ms. Boraks, we join our friends and colleagues of the Christian-Jewish Dialogue of Toronto in celebrating your dedicated leadership as Executive Director over many years and of membership. I extend my own personal gratefulness for your commitment in fostering good relations between the Catholic Church and the Jewish community in the Greater Toronto Area. We recall in a very special way your collaboration in promoting the education and formation of our faithful in the Archdiocese of Toronto around the many anniversaries, especially of Nostra Aetate, as well as its reception in the wider community. Barbara, from your work organizing cultural and faith events, as well as opportunities for solidarity in the face of racism and injustice, you leave a rich legacy, an enduring legacy of dialogue and outreach. In common witness between Christians and Jews throughout the Greater Toronto Area, and we are most thankful. With every good wish and assurance of prayers for the road ahead, yours sincerely in our Lord, Cardinal Thomas Collins, the Archbishop of Toronto.
Thank you, Father Lewis. Thank you, Father Lewis. That was quite beautiful, quite beautiful. And we'll thank the Cardinal as well. And next on to the podium, we welcome Katya Britton, words from the Anglican Church of Canada and the Evangelical Lutheran Church. Welcome, Katya.
Good evening, especially good evening, obviously, and to Barbara Borak, but good evening to everyone who is gathering here today. On behalf of the Lutheran Church, ELCIC, and the Anglican Diocese of Toronto, I express our deepest gratitude of setting out to establish what I would call the movement Jewish-Christian dialogue in Toronto, and actually wider than that. Great things have been achieved that has brought us together as communities of faith. And you are the author and creator of that, Barbara. But you have also helped us to revisit our own approach to interfaith. Thank you so much for that. Please count it as your achievement to create the awareness how meaningful and forward-looking the life together in what we would call the diversest of diversest places we find here in Toronto. That is up. You have made that happen, that we are able to look in a reflection on how we are dealing with interfaith in our own communities of faith. I myself am personally proud and happy to having joined this group that you set up. And let me express God's blessings to you, Barbara. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katya. That was very well spoken and quite beautiful. And now we move to the wonderful, we have our own resident Cecil B. DeMille and Stephen Spielberg and the likes and works of Hector Acero and Sister Petite Leo as they offer a video presentation.
Just two comments before we begin with that. The first one, this video is a testament to the fact that Barbara is the person that works the most and has the less spotlight ever, because it's so difficult to find either footage and or photographic evidence of her presence with us, even though she's been doing so much for us all these years. And the second part of it, this is the abridged of the abridged of the abridged version of this. Sister Petite worked hard to reduce what everybody had to say about Barb. So Barb, the extended version of this video, you are gonna get it over email. We're showing people the abridged version.
Hi everyone, my name is Barbara Boraks and I'm speaking to you from Toronto in Ontario in Canada.
Now, Barb is a woman that you really want to get to know because she's so interested.
The highlight for me in the interactions with her has been the spirited conversations we've had.
And she has this gift, which I don't have, which is working within systems, looking at a system and saying, okay, to bring about social change, how do I do that within this system?
An innovator, a team player. She's original and aware.
And there's always been a sense of Barbara the adventurer, as a person who's willing to try new things. And we may not know how what the road will look like or where the bridges will be, but there's always a sense of...
That Barb is what I would call a woman of dialogue. And what I mean by that is that Barb always showed an openness and a willingness to attentively listen to and to learn from others who were different from herself.
I think the thing that comes to mind first for me with Barb was her intense interest about life.
It was a constant. She was my interfaith Rolodex, for those who still remember Rolodexes. And I am in many, many ways indebted to her.
The highlight for me in the interactions with her has been the spirited conversations we've had. So we've agreed in many things. We are both kind of visionaries. We like to just generate ideas and see where they take us. But sometimes...
Now, Barb is a woman that you really want to get to know because she's so interested. She's interested in the person she's talking to. And if you're lucky, that person is you. And she'd always take the time to consider what you just said and share what she knows about it.
When I think about Barb, I'm just, there's two things that really impress me about her. She is quietly effective. She's not an in-your-face kind of person. She's not someone who puts herself front and center. And she has this gift, which I don't have, which is working within systems, looking at a system and saying, okay, to bring about social change, how do I do that within this system? Who do I need to talk to? What groups do I need to involve? How do we bring pressure for positive change?
Barbara, the adventurer, as a person who's willing to try new things. And we may not know how what the road will look like or where the bridges will be, but there's always a sense of working with Barbara and with others.
My experience of Barb over the past number of years with CJDT has really shown me that Barb is what I would call a woman of dialogue. Barb passionately dedicated herself to creating bridges of understanding and acceptance among various Christian denominations and with people of diverse faith traditions, in particular among Jews, Christians, and Muslims. And over the years, I have also experienced Barb as a person who really, she knows how to celebrate life in all its fullness. And when I think of Barb, I have the image of a small tree and a strong growing tree, a small seed and a strong growing tree. I say this because I see that when Barb began with CJDT as executive director some 25 or 30 years ago, the CJDT initiative was like a little mustard seed in Toronto. And now, some 30 years later, CJDT has become a strong tree in the heart of Toronto. And much of this is due to the dedicated leadership of Barb. Thank you so much, Barb. We're very grateful to you.
I have been really so impressed with how Barb functions and operates. She's an innovator, a team player. She's original and aware. She has many, many skills, talents at the cottage, around the house, dog walking, a lot of other things. But I think it's her sharp mind and her personality. She's fun to be with. And she has this tremendous intellect and ability to be the sort of producer, director, smoother post-production manager. And she's brought so much to CJDT and certainly to me. So for that, Barb, I thank you for exposing me to things that I wasn't aware of. And I'm very appreciative.
Barbara was always one of my go-to people in the area of interfaith work. She knew who to talk with and how to get the information that I needed. I think there's many things that we owe to Barbara. She's expanded the nature of interfaith work in Toronto immeasurably, and we owe her, all of us, and the entire interfaith community owe her a debt of gratitude, of great, great gratitude.
Okay, well, I actually worked closely with Barb during the time that she was focusing on guaranteed basic income. That was the thing that interested me as well. I think the thing that comes to mind first for me with Barb was her intense interest about life, and also her very quick wit. She's a very bright person, and her mind moves very quickly, and I really enjoyed that part of Barb as I worked with her over the years.
I remember going with her to New York for the basic income conference there, maybe 5-6 years ago already. And I remember, like Fredelle was mentioning earlier, just talking about everything.
Sometimes you would run into a difficulty in a project, and sometimes it was a human difficulty. And Barb would think about it a little bit, and she would say, they just don't get it. That's what the problem is with that person or that group. They just don't get it yet. And I'd smile, and I'd love the optimism in that statement, because they were going to get it eventually, but they just weren't there yet.
What inspired me when I first joined CJDT was it became very obvious that Barb was the institutional memory for much of the existence of the CJDT. And it was just amazing to watch how often the various chairs of CJDT, when they had any question at all, they would kind of lean over and say, how do we do that? Or how have we done that in the past?
It was very much faith in action. And I would sense Barb became very much almost like a Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., a Ruth and Esther and Naomi, filled with a passion and also to ignite others to the cause.
She's so engaged with very serious, in many cases, life and death issues, but she brings to that a wonderful, very gentle sense of humor as well. That's a great gift.
If I were going to describe Barbara in a couple of words, I'd call her kind and compassionate, because she's a person who's always looking for solutions that could benefit the maximum number of stakeholders, the maximum number of people who are involved. I really miss working with her, and I really hope to get involved with her in the future on another worthwhile project. It's just wonderful to swim in the waves with her.
So Barb, as you go forth from CJDT, do know that you will be missed and loved by all of us. And on whatever path you take, in whatever direction you are led, and know that we are most grateful to you for the significant contributions that you have made to the life of CJDT, and for always you will be remembered amongst us. I wish you good blessings.
As you go forward, and know that you really made a difference within the CJDT organization and worked tirelessly and without pay many times. Your efforts have all been appreciated, and we are all better for having known you, been in your presence as you sort of worked your magic, bringing things together, and often very disparate groups, organizations, ideas, and bringing it to fruition and to creating something very meaningful. And may you always have meaning and good things in your life, and wishing you also good health and family times and cottage times, and just go from strength to strength. I certainly have been I'm thankful to have had you in my life.
I would like to wish Barbara that she brings to whatever she does the success that she's already brought to CJDT. I know that she is a woman of such incredible talents, warm and caring and outgoing. And I know that whatever she does will be a success, not only for her personally, but for whatever organization, whatever the activity is, and they will be blessed to have her help and support and guidance.
So Barb, we are very sorry to see you go. Your contribution at CJDT will not be forgotten. It has laid the groundwork for our work as it is now and as it will be into the future. We wish you all the very best, and know that you will not be sitting in a chair anytime soon, that wherever you are, you will be active, interested in the world, interested in justice for all peoples, and You're one of the blessings in the world, Barb, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Barbara. That's
So Barbara, thank you for inviting us to join this great ship of transformation. We weren't sure where the voyage was going to take us, but certainly you've led us across great turbulent seas to find safe harbors. And even though it may seem you've left the ship, you're still with us. We're just echo Fredelle's words. I look forward to working with you on some great new adventure in years to come.
I would just say thank you. Thank you for all that she did, for all the friendships she's shared with us, but also for reminding all of us that the real work of interreligious dialogue is not something dry and dusty and theoretical. It involves real human beings, and because it involves real human beings, it involves the work of justice and dialogue and peacemaking and upholding human dignity, especially for Jews and Christians. Those are such central values. And Barbara was able to bring that and constantly infuse the work of interreligious dialogue with that vision that we can never forget in our.
I want to thank you, Barb. I think each of us feel enriched by knowing you. And also, I think you've given each of us, I don't want to speak for the group, they speak very well for themselves, but you've certainly given me a confidence in going into the unknown, knowing that the solution is out there, although I don't know what it is yet. And you've given me a sense of it can be done, the hopefulness that it can be done. Thank you, Barb. I miss you, and I'm so glad we can celebrate you. You've done so much for CJDT. Thank you.
from me. Thank you, Barb, for all the mentorship, for all the adventures. Adventures really is something that describes the time with Barb. And I have to say that as a Colombian, I can not only be happy for Barb for moving on to new exciting projects, I also need to be angry with her because she's leaving us behind. So I will live in that contradiction between feeling that we still need her here, but carrying that memory as that legacy that she lives with us, and hopefully we're good enough to cultivate that and to keep working with what she left for us and with us.
Brava and bravo. Lots of great words spoken by many people. And so we're waiting for that next big adventure, Barbara, I think even now. And as we look to our next speaker, we welcome back to the podium, Rabbi David Seed.
I'd like to thank everyone first for the opportunity to share a few remarks in Barbara's honor. And it's truly, and I mean that most sincerely, it's truly a privilege to do so this evening. I've been involved with CJDT probably for about 15 years or so through the Toronto Board of Rabbis as its representative. And it was because of my relationship with Rabbi Shield that I learned first about CJDT and the pivotal role that it has played in the community for so many years. So when the opportunity afforded itself through the Toronto Board of Rabbis, it was something I did not shy away from at all. But CJDT and the community would not be where it is today, and especially in the area of interfaith areas, if it were not for one person, for Barbara Boraks. I've been amazed, simply amazed by the numbers of people and groups who Barbara knows in this field of interfaith relations. She's a walking encyclopedia of names, organizations, and relationships with anything, and I mean anything, having to do with the area of interfaith work. She has been able to bring together, through her passion and deep, deep commitment to the area of interfaith activities, a wealth of resources. And it is because of that, that all of us, as you've heard, and this is truly sincere, that we are all truly blessed because of Barbara Boraks. I can't even recall, looking back, all the events, programs, and activities in which Barbara has been involved and which bear her telltale dedication and hard work. She's, as has been said, someone who generally works behind the scenes, but those of us who know Barbara see her handiwork very, very clearly. For example, the 50th anniversary of Nostra Aetate, in which we were privileged to have scholars and theologians from around the world with us to learn about this most important part of not only theology for the Catholic Church, but in relationship with Judaism and with the world. There's also basic income. It's a phrase which many have used around the world for years and years, and also in Canada. Barbara did not invent it. However, in Barbara's hands, basic income has become a chance to frame it in a religious and spiritual context, thus expanding its reach into a variety of sectors, or business, academicians, politicians, bringing together people who never would have interacted, but do so now to help the lives of those in need, to be able to live in dignity. And that's Barbara's doing, and that's what she has been able to achieve, again, with her own quiet way about her. But again, this is only because of her. This has been the essence of Barb Boraks in so many ways. We've also had the Abrahamic series, which still continues to this day. We enjoyed programs at the Archdiocese, not only bringing together Christians and Jews, but also Muslims and others of faith. We had an outstanding program at Adith Israel entitled The Rescue by the Castellano brothers, story of a non-Jew who rescued Jews during World War II, which brought together many from the community of different faiths to learn and to share. We've just concluded the holiday of Passover, and for years, Barb helped to organize, again through her many relationships and resources in the community, which brought together various churches and synagogues to learn and grow at this important season of the year. We also, I remember, very distressing but also important talk by Father Patrick Devoise, a priest's journey to uncover the truth behind the murder of 1.5 million Jews in the Ukraine. And we think about what's happening in the Ukraine again, but Barbara was there to bring us this all-important speaker. We also had a forum on ethics. Many programs have been done with local churches during Holocaust Education Week, thus bringing our communities together to learn and explore. And this is only a sampling of the many outstanding programs that Barbara has helped bring to CJDT and the community, making us an exemplary organization in the area of interfaith efforts. But not only in the GTA, yes, I know it's Christian Jewish Dialogue Toronto, but far, far beyond the GTA. CJDT has become a known entity far, far beyond because of Barbara Boraks. Barbara, again, this is only a small sampling of all the many activities and programs and efforts that you have brought to us. But first, I want to thank you personally for all you have taught me. I have become enriched because of what I have learned from you so sincerely and from the deepness of your heart. Thank you again personally for all that you have taught me. But I also want to say, all of us, thank you for that which you have done for us and continue to do, not only for the GTA, but I might, and I don't think it's an exaggeration, but I think for the world, truly for the world, to make it the place that it should be and needs to be. Thank you, Barbara Boraks.
Thank you again, Rabbi Seed. Well spoken. Words from the heart, and words that continue to plant seeds in all of our lives. And now we invite to the podium our present chair, Reverend Barbara White, who's going to tell us invite us to ponder, where are we going?
Thank you, John Joseph, and thank you to all the prior speakers. I've learned a lot and realized even more the contribution that Barb has made over the years. Before I really begin my comments, I've been asked to give a land acknowledgement, which we haven't done so far. So the First Nations people of North America call this sacred land Turtle Island. It has been enjoyed by many people for thousands of years. It is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Métis people. They lived on the land under the dish with one spoon wampum belt covenant, and peaceably sharing and caring for the resources around the Great Lakes. Later, the First Peoples and the settlers became subject in addition to the Williams Treaties. Inhabiting this land today, we open our hearts and commit ourselves to listening, learning, and living with love, with respect for all our relations. When I first came into Christian Jewish Dialogue of Toronto, it was around the time that Barb was organizing Nostra Aetate. And one of my biggest impressions of that, Barb, was, wow, what an organizational feat that is. And you did it with such aplomb, and it went so incredibly well. And then, as I mentioned in the little video, I became closer to Barb, working on the basic income project. And she and I zipped up and down the 401 to London a few times, and it was a pleasure to get to know Barb better during those times and just be in her presence. When Barb left CJDT, it created a very large vacuum, and I wondered if the group would fold. As volunteers, we were used to relying on Barb to generate the energy for our programs. Would those of us who were left be willing to pick up the pace of our involvement to continue with a meaningful dialogue? And to my happy surprise, we did. And Rabbi Seed has mentioned the ongoing Abrahamic series. And I worked in a small group with others on a series of webinars called Visiting Israel Virtually. And then another steadfast group of people worked on governance issues. It was something that very much needed doing. Is not glamorous work, as we all understand, but very important work, and that work is done now. And so as I begin my term as chair, I'm hoping to take that groundwork and in the early days to initiate a study session with leadership from the Compassionate Listening Project from Seattle on how to dialogue in difficult situations. And in those seminars, we'll learn the basics of building trust and collaboration on difficult topics. Zoom has been a great assist for CJDT, both in getting excellent attendance for our board meetings and in helping us to reach out with programming to the wider community. We're planning to work in the dialogue as a whole on communication strategy so that we can attract a broader audience, because we realize that in this internet digital age, we need to be a presence online in order to attract attention to our programs. Also, we know that anti-Semitism sadly is on the rise. It's heartbreaking to see it. There was just a piece on the news tonight that I saw before coming here. And so we're working on a program to learn more about some of the enduring anti-Semitic tropes and discuss how we might combat them. So Barb, you can see by those plans that you're still here. You're still embedded in the hearts and minds of those of us who have had the pleasure of knowing you. And all of what we're doing now is possible because the work, Barb, that you did, that you were part of, to build trust among the group members that gives us the courage to wade into difficult topics. And so, Barb, I wish you personally all the best in your future endeavors. And I miss our phone calls, and we'll have to catch up one of these days. Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you, Barbara White. Well spoken about where we hope to be and where we hope to ponder. And now we invite to the podium Joan Shapero, who will bring words of gratitude to our Barbara Boraks.
Thank you. What a special night. Barb, it's been an honor and a privilege for all of us to have worked with you and to give you the recognition that you suchly deserve this evening. A thank you to your family, immediate and extended, for encouraging you to allow us to have this tribute. There really is not much more to say that hasn't been said already. Your honesty, creativity, insightfulness, sincerity, and persistence have enriched the CJDT organization and directed it in so many meaningful ways. And I personally thank you for your friendship. I'd like you to please accept this gift from all of us on board. Murray, that's your cue. There is a gift. And Barb, we wish you many more years of exciting and purposeful challenges ahead. So best wishes. And again, may you go from strength to strength. Thank you so much. Thank you, Murray.
Well, I'm going to interrupt this thing because I have to open the gift now.
Yes, of course.
So we all can see.
This is like the Academy Awards where they present the award from off screen.
Yeah, it is like, oh my goodness. If I speak too long, you can start the orchestra up to kind of, play me off.
Never. There we go.
Okay.
We have a bottle. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great wrapping job.
Oh, it's a bottle of Basil Hayden bourbon whiskey. This is an extraordinary bourbon. To my children who are on here, who I all, from the age of 12, we taught them all to make cocktails for us. So, and my future daughter-in-law, Christina, who's a massive Manhattan drinker, like we all thank you. We will all be partaking in this.
That's wonderful.
So thank you so much for this. This is very, very like welcome in this household. So thank you. Just there you go, everyone. You can see the label.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, and a card. Hold on. Oh my goodness, there's more. Okay, there's a card. I'll read it. With sincere thanks and appreciation for everything you have initiated, created, fulfilled over the years. The organization is better because of you, your outreach, smarts, and talents. And there's more. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's too much. Oh my God, there's more. A membership to the ROM. So in the moments when I need to get away, nothing personal here, Murray. There's a place to go to learn even more history. Oh my goodness, and there's more. Okay. Oh, this is lovely. It's a plaque. I'll show up to the camera. There we go. And it says, from the Christian Jewish Dialogue of Toronto to Barbara Boraks, with heartfelt thanks, gratitude for all of your efforts and contributions made for the Christian Jewish Dialogue of Toronto, the Board of CJDT, April 2022. When this call is over, I'm going to celebrate all these gifts with a drink from my new bottle of Basil Hayden Bourbon. So thank you so much, everyone.
And thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Now it's your turn to respond to us and just share your thoughts and words that come to mind.
Well, as everyone was speaking, and that wonderful recording that Sister Petite and Hector put together, thank you for those efforts. I know it's not easy to do that. What came to mind was this. Some of the words used to describe me. I'm just going to focus on a couple. The word of bringing, of having ideas, maybe some, I can't remember all the words, so I'll add a little bit, here. You know, ideas, perhaps imagination, and taking those ideas from just being a seed into an outcome. I learned that at the CJD table. I remember a lesson I learned going back many decades ago to my university days, when I burst into the office of a professor I worked with very closely, and I said, I have a great idea. And he said, so what? He said, it's easy to have an idea. It's what you do with it. And at the CJDT table, I learned how to do things with ideas, not because of me, but because of the other people around the table. It's easy to have an idea. You cannot take an idea and run with it unless you have people there who work with you as partners. So everyone together becomes a part of the idea. And it's very easy to say, oh, you know, that's a good idea. It's harder to say, that's a terrible idea. It's harder to say, well, maybe it's good, but you're not thinking about it the right way. Or here's what I would suggest you do. Or here's who I know. Or here's how we should do it. And that I learned at the CJD table, because that table, the past board members, the present, and I know the future, were all people of, and are people of vision, of strength, and honesty. And to start one's career being able to be in the space with people like that is a gift. You know, people who have the patience to listen to you and say, yeah, okay, but you know what? And I saw that Len Rudner is actually on this call. Len, are you still here? I think he was here earlier. And that was something actually, I remember a very early meeting on with Len once. And after my first few months or year or so at the organization, when I started to learn how to take ideas and work with them, after this initial learning period, Len said to me one day, Barb, what happened to you? You used to be so quiet. Now we just can't shut you up. But that was because of the excitement I learned at that table. There's something else I learned at that table. And that was how to listen and to respect the idea of other people. And sometimes it's hard. The patience to do that is hard, but I learned it's always worth it. And there's another word used for me, which is resilience. And that is something else I learned. Interfaith work is not easy work. The reason it's not easy is because you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over. It's not something you can do once and then see it'll grow. In some ways it will, but all of a sudden a new generation comes along or a new event comes along and you have to start all over again. And that resilience is something else I learned at that table. And And the skills I learned there, I know are serving me in a way. Well, I have some of my basic income colleagues are also on this call. And I think whatever skills I am able to bring to that effort is because of what I learned at this table, from everyone here and from the people who preceded you at the board table. So I want to thank you all for what you've made me. So thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. And now we call to the podium Sister Lucy and Rabbi Seed, who will bring to us Psalm 100.
Thank you, John Joseph. And on behalf of all of CJDT, I'm honored, Barb, to pray with you and with all your family and with all those whose lives you have touched. This beautiful Psalm of Thanksgiving, Psalm 100. A Psalm of Thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful sound to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into God's presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is God that made us, and we belong to God. Enter the Lord's gate with thanksgiving, and God's court with praise. Give thanks to the Lord. Bless God's holy name. For indeed, the Lord is good. God's steadfast love endures forever, and God's faithfulness to all generations. Amen.
I will now read the psalm in the Hebrew. Mizmor LeTodah, Haril Adonai kol haaretz, Ivdu et Adonai b'simcha, Ba'u lefanav birnana, De'u ki Adonai hu Elohim, Hu asanu v'lo anachnu, Amo v'som marito, Ba'u sha'arav b'todah, Chatzerotav b'tehillah, Hodu lo baruchu shemo, Ki tov Adonai leolam chasto, V'ador v'ador emunato. Amen.
Amen. Thank you and thank you. Now I invite everyone to raise a glass to our beloved Barbara. And I say one of my favorite blessings, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be at your back and sun shine softly upon your fields and rain fall softly upon your face. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. And I say, here's to life. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Now I am going to stop recording, but don't leave. This is your chance to